Okay, so sorry, saya belum upload lagi topik 2. Okay, asalnya saya belum upload lagi, saya check tengok. Asalnya saya belum upload. UM Online Learning, sekejap. STIK. Okay, bagi saya seminit atau 2 untuk saya upload topik 2. Okay, sekejap. And then maybe kalau you nak follow, you boleh download teruslah kalau you nak follow slide. Or maybe you can download later. Topics 2. Saya letakkan resource dulu lah. File. Nama file ya, sekejap. Tengok. Saya just rename dulu. Oh, sorry. Saya upload dulu, nanti kita tengok lagi. Nanti saya rename balik. Okay. Okay, saya letak, nanti saya akan rename balik. Okay, saya just letak saja as topic 2. Nanti saya akan rename dia balik bagi proper. Okay, so slide ada. Kalau siapa yang nak download from UM Online Learning, you can do it now or at any time. Okay. So topics 2, titles based on the slide. Okay, topic 2, title, computer software concept. Okay, topic 2, title, computer software concept in our syllabus. Let me check. Topics 2, course syllabus, SOW. In the SOW, the topics. Okay, topics 2, okay, same. Okay, software concept and development. So we have 2 parts. The first one is the concept. Second, we will focus on the software development. Okay. So computer software concept. Okay. So content, introduction, type of software. So these topics we divide into 2 parts. The first, we look at the type of the software, the classification of the software. And the second part is how we develop a software, or we call it a software development, maybe cycle, process, or whatever you want to call it. Okay, software development. So at the end of this topic, okay, students should be able to differentiate between the 2 major type of software. So basically later we will look at 2 type of software, system software, and the second one is application software. So at the end of this topic, you'll be able to differentiate what is the system software, give example of the system software, and then what is the application software, and give example of application software. And you must be able to differentiate these 2, okay, between application and system software. Okay, and one of the main or important software under the system software is the operating system. Okay, the main or the important software under the system software is an operating system. So we focus on the operating system. So you should be able to describe the general function of the operating system. Basically, later we will look at the operating system is the manager. Okay, the manager. Or for another class, I'll call it a chief of the software. Okay, chief of others manager, or chief of others, or the whole process in your computer. Okay, so chief of the software, or later we will look the term of the manager. So that is the operating system. And then describe the general function of application software. So we look at the another type of software is the application software. And also system software we have divide into 2. Okay, operating system and others system support software. And also the application software we also divide into 2, general purpose and specific software, or generic and specific. Okay, and then later the last topic we will describe the general purpose of software development, or maybe you can call it a system development, application development. Okay, so there's a process of how you develop a software, a system, or an application. Okay, so let's see the history of the system or the software in general. Okay, so software is less important. Originally, software is less important when the computer was introduced. Okay, originally, okay, people don't use software. Okay, people don't use software, and software is not important in that the earliest type of computer or computing device. Why? Because computer was literally hardwired. What does mean by hardwired? So we create at that time, when they introduced a computer, or I call it a machine that have the characteristic of the computers. When they introduce that machine, okay, so that machine have a specific purpose. Okay, only one specific purpose. So you cannot do with that machine, they call it a computer, okay, you cannot do, okay, other function. So one machine only works for one function. So they don't need a computer, they hardwired, meaning that if they want the device or the machine to do one specific thing, so they already create the hardware to control that function. Okay, they create a hardware, so they put that we call it the program, okay. So for that machine to do only that works, and then you cannot use that machine to do other function. Okay, so this is what we call a hardwired. You pre-program that machine to do one specific function or one specific task. So at that time, we don't need a software. Remember back again, the definition of computer, okay, we said that a computer is a machine that, okay, electronic machine that do based on the instruction. Okay, based on the instruction. So now your computer can do a lot of things. Okay, your computer can do a lot of things. So at this point now, software become important. Why? Because one, the price of hardware has decreased. So computer become cheaper and cheaper. The machine become, okay, cheaper and cheaper. Okay, so and everybody can own a computer, or I call it a computing device. Everybody can own a computing device. You can have your computer's desktop. Okay, when I'm maybe in the first degree, okay, so not everybody have their own computer, especially when I'm doing my matriculation, okay, pre-universities, okay, matrix. So no, but I think in my class only one student have a computer at that time. Very expensive. Everybody is using a typewriter, okay, typewriter to type the assignment. Okay, only one student have a computer. Even though we have a subject called programming at that time. Okay, programming. Okay, I have two subjects for programming in my matriculation. So we only use computer in the lab. Okay, and then during the degree, so almost everybody have a computer. But at that time, to own a laptop is very expensive. Okay, to own a laptop is very expensive at that time. Back in 1919 something. Okay, 1996, 1995, 1996. Okay, to own a laptop is very expensive. So most of my friends have a desktop. Okay, most of my friends have a desktop. Okay, and I buy my own laptop during second semester because at that time I'll get I have a education loan. Okay, not PTPTN, but at that time, okay, we have a JPA, Jabatan Perkhidmatan Awam. So I get a loan from JPA, study loan from JPA. So for the first semester, I don't get yet a loan. Okay, and then during my second semester, JPA backdated a loan that I should receive from my first semester. Okay, so backdated, so I get my first semester and my second semester loan during my second semester. So I have extra money that time. Okay, so extra money that time. So I buy a laptop, and if I'm not mistaken, my laptop at that time is only 8 meg of RAM. Okay, 8 meg of RAM and 810 megabyte. Megabyte. Okay, megabyte of hard disk. 0.8 gig hard disk and only 8 meg, 0.008 gig of RAM. Okay, so almost, I think it's almost 4,000 at that time. So very expensive. Okay, so price of hardware now has decreased, so everybody can own a computer, no problem. Especially now, everybody can own a laptop. Okay, a laptop. So when you have a computer or you have your own laptop, so you want your laptop to do your computer to do a lot of things. Okay, not just type your assignment. Okay, you're not using your laptop just to type your assignment. You also now use your laptop for online classes. Okay, you also use your laptop to update your social media. Okay, so your laptop have to do a lot of things. Your computers, basically, let's say the computer, your computing device have to do a lot of things. So, okay, so we need a software so that we want our computers, our device, our machine to do more than just one thing. Okay, and then the second reason, software development process is slow complexity. Okay, so we will look later in the software process development. How you develop a system, how you develop application, or how you develop a software. Okay, so software today, okay, difficult to produce a software, must carefully, because we want our machine, our computer to do what we instruct. Let's look at the point of software developer, or even you are the user. If you are the user of the computer, same. You want your machine, your computer to do exactly what you want. Okay, you want your computer to do exactly what you want. So you must give the correct instruction to your machine. Okay, you must give the exact and the correct information to your machine. Remember, I'll say on our first class, computer or computing device is a stupid device, a stupid machine. So it must follow the exact instruction. So who gives the instruction? The user. How? Through the software or through the system, through the application. So you must make sure that the application or basically the instruction that you give through software application or a system, okay, is correct and is exact. Okay, correct and exact. So you must make sure that when you develop the software, the system or the application, so you must make sure that the system you give is correct to the system. Okay, so difficult to produce a software. Must carefully engineer the system, the software or the application and develop manually. So the process of coding, programming, okay, so develop manually, and for sure it's required a skill. Okay, a skill to develop, to design, okay, to develop, to design, to program the software. Okay, so let's see on two types of software. So the first type of software, okay, software is consists of a computer program. Okay, program. Okay, so program is the instruction. Okay, so stored program is the instruction. Okay, instruction are executed in CPU. So it have a series of instruction, and this instruction must be executed by a processor. Okay, so instruction are executed in the CPU or the processor. So this instruction, okay, instruction allow the hardware to do something useful. So basically, when you want the computers, the machine, okay, to do what you want to print. So what is the machine involved? So the hardware involved when you want to print your assignment, for example, or even if you want to type your assignment, you want to type your assignment, you want to do the assignment, you want to type the assignment. So you communicate with your computer through keyboard. You type through keyboard. So that is the hardware. And then maybe when you type, you must save your assignment. Okay, you must save your Word document. So you are using Microsoft Word, for example, you want to save it. So next, you push a button of save. Okay, so that what you type on the screen will be saved in the hard disk. So another device, the hardware, the hard disk, or the, you can say a solid state drive. So it's also a storage. And then maybe you want to print. Okay, you want to print. Okay, you want to print. Or maybe you save and then you want to, let's say you want to print. Okay, you want to print. Okay, you push a button of print. So now it involves another device. You push a button screen or you click a mouse. Okay, you use your mouse also. It's also another device. Okay, you click a print button. Okay, you are communicating with another hardware. You are communicating with a printer. Okay, so who control all these things? Who instruct your hard disk, your hard disk, your keyboard, your mouse, okay, and your printer? So it's a program, the instruction, okay, the instruction, and then all this process is controlled, okay, by the CPU or executed by the CPU. Okay, consists of computer program. Stop program instruction are executed in CPU. Okay, allow the hardware to do something useful based on what you want. And then we have two types of software. The first one is a system software and the second one is application software. So let's look at the first one. Okay, this one is just general. Okay, so we have hardware. Okay, the hardware. And then the system software, actually, if you look at the definition later when you talk about the operating system, basically operating system is the intermediary application or software or units that control, communicate between, we have the hardware, okay, the hardware, and then an application or maybe directly with the user. User can directly communicate with system software through what we call the shell, or for you, maybe I'll just say, okay, through interface. It can be either graphical user interface. You can communicate the system software through graphical user interface, or if you're more technical, you can directly communicate with the system software through command line interface, CLI. Okay, command line. Okay, okay, the command prompt. If you are using Microsoft Words, sorry, if you are using Microsoft Windows, so through a command prompt, and what you do using your mouse, those are graphical user interface. So you can directly, user can directly communicate with the system software, and then the system software will control the hardware. User cannot directly control the hardware. So you must use a system software, the operating system, to communicate with the hardware. Okay, through what we call a shell. Okay, a shell. Okay, so under the shell we have the interface, graphical user interface, and command line interface. Okay, and then user can also communicate with application software. Okay, application software. So your Microsoft Word, okay, Microsoft Excel, okay, application software, your web browser. So this application software will communicate with system software. You want to connect to the internet, okay, or you want to browse a website, okay, the website. So you are using a web browser, let's say Google Chrome. Okay, Google Chrome is the application software. So Google Chrome will communicate with the system software, the operating system, how to connect to the internet, how to connect to the internet, okay, how to access the page that you request. And then when the page came back from the internet, how to display it on your web browser. Now, when you open the web browser, you have more than one tab. Okay, so how, okay, the web browser, okay, differentiate which, okay, on which tab to display the display what you want to access. Okay, so on the screen, on the tab, different tab. Okay, next type of a software. So we have two types of software. The first one is system software. So what is a system software? Program which help the user control and make best use of the hardware. So it's intermediary. So in between, intermediary between two devices. The first one is computer hardware and the application program. Okay, basically from hardware and application program. And also human user can also communicate directly with the system software. Control and coordinate computer operation. So this is the main application or main software that control all things that happen inside your computer. Okay, inside your computer. That's why I always tell, okay, the system software or basically the operating system is the chief, okay, the head of all the things that happen, or the managers, or all the things that happen inside your computer. So you cannot run the computer without the operating system. And the second one is application software, program that have been written to perform a specific task, okay, provide functionality for the user. Okay, so user normally communicate with the application software. Okay, application software. So the type of software again, system software. Okay, so we have system software and application software. So let's focus on the system software. System software also divide into two categories. Okay, software basically we have two, system and application. And then on the system software also divide into two categories. The first one is the main one, operating system. Okay, the main one is the operating system, supervise the overall operation of the computer. Okay, and the other type of system software is, okay, known as system utility. We have two here, system utility and support program. Okay, system utility and support program. So the type of software, common microcomputer. So we have many level of machine device. Okay, previously in chapter 1, we will look at the category of computer. So let's focus on just microcomputer, our PC. Okay, our laptop or our desktop. Okay, so common microcomputer operating system includes, okay, Macs, Windows, okay, Microsoft Windows, Apple Macs, and Linux operating system. Okay, so function of the operating system, we have four main functions. Okay, processor management of processor manager. So this one manage the processor, process and processor. Okay, it can manage a process. And if you have more than one processor, so it also manage a processor. Okay, the second one is the memory manager or memory management. Manage the random access memory, the RAM, or we call it main memory. Okay, the operating system manage the main memory. Okay, main memory, memory manager. So basically your main memory is your RAM, random access memory. And then we have a device manager. Okay, managing a device. Okay, managing a device. Okay, device, all others. Okay, your printer, your desktop, your monitors. Okay, your LCDs, your mouse, your keyboard. Okay, all are device. And then the last one is the storage manager. Your hard disk. Okay, how you store information. Okay, so this is the manager. And then to communicate with the, okay, for user to communicate with the system, the operating system, you have the user interface. For the human or user to communicate with the system, you have the user interface. Okay, most popular now is a graphical user interface, GUI. Okay, GUI, graphical user interface. And then you also have a command line interface, the old version, and still used, okay, by some of the technical people. And then maybe you can say a voice activation, okay, voice activation, okay, for interface between the user and the system. And then for application to communicate with the operating system, okay, for application, yes, application software to communicate with the system, we have what we call application interface. Okay, application interface for the application to communicate with the system. If the user need to communicate directly with the system, so the user will use user interface. Okay, so this is the operating system used for microcomputer, desktop or laptop. Okay, desktop and laptop. So maybe I want to give you an ungraded assignment. Okay, so don't submit. Just after this, okay, try to find what software or what's operating system, software for sure, what type of operating system suitable for use with the mobile device. Okay, saya nak bagi satu assignment dekat you. This one is ungraded, so tak perlu hantar, tak ada markah. Cuma untuk for maybe kita kata knowledge, pengetahuan. Okay, Okay, please find, tolong cari, okay, the name of the operating system, nama operating system that used by the mobile device. So mobile device basically, secara umum kita kata, we can say generally, okay, mobile device is your handphone and your tablet. Tapi sebenarnya ada banyak lagi mobile device. Okay, but basically kita kata mobile device is handphone and your tablet. Okay, so after the class today, so tolong cari apa nama operating system yang biasa digunakan. Okay, biasa digunakan oleh mobile device. Maybe yang you familiar when we talk about handphone is Android. And another one is iOS. I with small I. Okay, not a capital I. iOS and Android. Okay, dua tu yang maybe you are familiar with. Okay, tapi sebenarnya ada banyak lagi. Okay, there's more application. Okay, or more system software, system software that suitable to be used. Okay, or already be used with the mobile device. Okay, cari. Ada banyak lagi actually nama selain pada Android and iOS. Okay, Android and iOS. And kalau you study Android, okay, if you study the history of Android, you will notice that Android is basically a Linux operating system. Android yang you guna dalam your handphone tu is actually a Linux operating system. Dia asalnya daripada Linux. Okay, Linux operating system. Okay, so Microsoft ada Microsoft Mobile, Windows CE, okay, ada banyak lagi untuk mobile operating system. Okay, mobile operating system. Apple dia come up with iOS. Okay, iOS, I with small I. Okay, iOS. Kalau you belajar more in details later you will see ada dua beza. That's why I said I small dengan capital I. iOS and iOS. Okay, iOS and iOS. Ada dua I, both is I, small I and capital I. Okay, ada different data. Okay, so that's activities that you can do. Okay, mungkin cari dua ni. Tak perlu submit. So cari je. Later we will discuss. Nanti kita akan bincang balik. Okay, the operating system, the history of that mobile operating system. Okay, the second one is system utility. This is the system software. Program that accomplish common tasks such as sorting record, locating file, managing memory usage. Okay, so this is example of system software. Okay, system software. Protecting your system. Okay, basically utilities is helping you doing your system, protecting your system, save your system. Okay, so example is antivirus, okay, compression, backup, restore, register, cleanup, okay, scan disk repair, hardware diagnostic, encryption, description. Okay, so this is an example of the utility, system utility available in your system software in your computer. And the other one is system support program, support the operation managers and user, provide a varieties of support service. For example, you want to monitor the performance of your computers. Okay, so you can use a performance monitors, monitoring the securities, okay, the utilizations and so on. Okay, so this is a group of system software. But the main important is the operating system. So your system cannot run without the operating system. But if these others, for example, utility is not available, you can still run your computers, but maybe your computer will slow, maybe your computer have trouble, you have a problem and so on. Okay, the second one is the application software. Okay, the application software. So the application software divide into two categories. The first one is the generic software, and the second one is a specific software. Okay, so the general purpose software can be used for wide variety of tasks. For example, we try to differentiate later. The spreadsheet. Okay, the spreadsheet. Okay, what you can use Microsoft Excel, for example. Okay, the products from Microsoft is known as Microsoft Excel. So spreadsheet, what you can do with the spreadsheet, basically you can use for accounting, doing the sales analysis, forecasting, and many others. Even you want to calculate a simple thing, okay, you want to calculate a simple thing, you can use, because basically the spreadsheet, okay, the basic function is like, okay, to do the calculation. Okay, to do the calculation. Okay, the basic function of the spreadsheet is to do the calculation. Okay, you can create a table. Okay, you can create a table. Well, we don't use a Microsoft Word table. Okay, because okay, let's say we have Abi, Bakar, so Chong, Danish. Okay, so we have 4 people. Let's say, what is their age? 23. Okay, 19. Okay, 21. Yang seorang lagi tua sikit, 27, 27. Okay, so using a spreadsheet, this is a spreadsheet, so you can do the calculation. What are their total age, for example? So you don't have to manually calculate. Okay, you don't have to manually calculate. So the total age, and then maybe you can see what is the average. Okay. Okay, so you can use, okay, the spreadsheet, the Excel, for example. I'm using the Excel here to do the calculation. Okay, to do the calculation. Okay, to do the calculation. And you can also use, for example, to tabular graph. Insert a graph. Okay, insert the graph using a spreadsheet. Okay, you can create a graph using a spreadsheet. Okay, so you can use multi-purpose. Okay, multi-purpose. Okay, variety of tasks. Okay, variety of tasks. So this is a generic purpose. Okay, and then we have another one is a specific. Perform a single task only. So a specific application software use for a single purpose only. For example, you can say yes, you can use Microsoft Excel to create accounting document. Okay, can say balance sheet, loss and profit statement. Okay, so you can use total sales. Okay, total sales, total income. So you can create the accountings using a spreadsheet. Okay, spreadsheet. But yes, we said spreadsheet can also be used for other purpose. So this is a generic purpose. Okay, but if you're talking about the specific application software, so that application software is only used for example, you say accounting. Okay, you want to create accounting software that can create at the end maybe profit and loss, okay, equity statement and so on. Okay, so accounting software is capable of doing only accounting related tasks. Okay, only focus on that part. Okay, maybe the tables all are ready made. Okay, all are ready made. So the user, okay, the accountant or the accounting clerical, okay, they can just type the value. Okay, but you can also create the same report using a spreadsheet. But for spreadsheet, we can use this software for other purpose. Okay, for other purpose. Okay, so generic and specific. You have Microsoft Word. Okay, your word processing. Okay, Microsoft Word. So you can use your Microsoft Word only to related. You can use Microsoft Word to do a lot of things. Okay, you can use to create a letter, to create a flyer, to create a brochure. Okay, so you can do a lot of things. Okay, to type a report. So you can use a general purpose application software. Yeah, application software. Okay, so this is generic software. Okay, generic software list, example of generic software. Okay, general purpose. So we have a word processing. For Microsoft, we have Microsoft Words. Spreadsheet. Okay, spreadsheet we have for Microsoft, we have Excel. Database management, Microsoft have Microsoft Access. Okay, maybe others, maybe if you want SQL, okay, if you want to use Ingress, Oracles, okay, so there's a database management. Graphics, okay, we have two type of graphic, a scalar dengan apa kata vector, okay, so graphic, so you can use different type of graphic application to create graphics. Presentation, your Microsoft PowerPoint I'm using now is Microsoft PowerPoint, so it's presentation tools. Okay, web page. Sometimes people also use Microsoft PowerPoint to create a poster. Okay, sometimes people use Microsoft PowerPoint to create a poster. Okay, so you can use also. Okay, poster. Now they use a Microsoft PowerPoint to create a backdrop. Okay, so Microsoft PowerPoint. Web page authoring. You want to create a web page. Okay, so you can use web page authoring tools to create a web page. Web browsers, okay, web browsers, okay, to not just see a web page. Now you can watch videos, okay, you can listen to the music, okay, you can do the file transfer using a web browser, okay, and then we have the email, okay, email software. Okay, common specific applications include payroll system, school administration, okay, booking system, stock controlling warehouse system. Okay, so these are specific. Okay, so this application or this software, this system is developed for just one specific purpose. Okay, for just one specific purpose. Okay, both generic and specialist or specific application can be bought custom or off the shelf. So sometimes if you want one system, normally the generic you can buy directly off the shelf. Okay, so meaning that you can buy, it's already available. Okay, it's already available in the market. Okay, and specific, it can be a custom made based on your requirement. Okay, custom made based on your requirement. So you give the requirement to the developer, okay, requirement, and then later we will look you as a system developer later. So you will come up with the requirement models. Maybe you come up with the prototypes, okay, and then you present it to the user, okay, the user or the owner of the system. Okay, so it's custom made. So the owner will, okay, I like with this one, or I want you to change. So make a modification. So the developer will develop the system. Okay, the developer will develop the system based on the requirement. So that is the custom made. Okay, custom made. Okay, custom made can be a specific on generic, but normally the generic will not custom made. Okay, yang generic punya ni, selalunya kita tak custom made. Basically we custom made the specific. Specific you can buy off the shelf. Okay, you can buy a ready-made accounting, for example. So it's readily available accounting system to be used. Okay, so you can buy off the shelf for specifics, and you can also request for a custom-made specific application. Okay, specific system, specific application. So you can custom it from whom? From a system developer. Okay, from a system developer. So you can custom make this specific application based on your requirement. Give the requirement to the system developer, and then system developer will come up with the requirement models, and then maybe directly develop the system or the application, or maybe come up with the prototype first. If you agree, then okay, the what we call the actual system will be developed. Okay, the next topic is the software development. Okay, software development. Any question before we continue the software development? Ada soalan tak? Sebelum kita sambung software development. Okay, ada soalan tak? Software development. Sorry, bukan software development. Topik awal. Okay, system software. Any question? Dekat chat ni ada tak? Okay, ada attendance manual. Yang attendance manual sekejap lagi ya. At the end of class lagi, you bagi tahu balik. Okay, yang nak attendance manual. Ya, masukkan attendance secara manual. Ada soalan? Can we proceed? Okay, kalau tak ada, saya sambung lagi. Okay, the next part of the... Okay, so basically from the first part of topic 2, we know that we have under the software, computer software, we have we divide our computer software into two types. The first one is the system software and the second one is the application software. And then the system software, basically we have the operating system, okay, operating system, and the second one is the others, utilities and other supporting software. Okay, or maybe you want to divide into 3. So we have operating system, utility, and other support application or support software. That's under the system software. And the second one under the application software, basically we have 2 categories. The first one is the generic, okay, or general purpose, generic application software. And the second one is the specific application software. Okay, so you must know what is the definition of each of type of the software and maybe example of the software, and differentiate between this type of software. Okay, differentiate between this type of software. So the next topic is the next part in the second topic is the software development. Okay, software development. So how people develop a software. So what is a software development? Software development is involve translation of a user need into a software product. Okay, again, especially when we talk, even a generic same. Okay, the user when they use the application, they have what they need, the requirement. Okay, when the user use the computer, okay, when the user use the computer, generally when the user use the computer or when the user use the computing device, they have their own needs from the usage. Okay, for example, when you open your handphone, you access a web browser. So what you want to do? Maybe you want to find the information, or maybe you want to watch a video. Okay, so you have your requirement of using that device. Basically, you are using that computing device and you are focusing on a specific application. Okay, so the software development translate okay, of the user need into a software product. So you must come up with what the user want based on their requirement. So involve software development process, synonym known as software process or software development life cycle. So every software development project must have a generic SDLC. So we are using generic. Again, later maybe we also have a lot of others methodologies, software development method or methodologies. Okay, so we have a waterfall, iterative, prototype, and so on. Okay, depend on maybe the duration that that had been allocated to us to develop. If you want a fast, then maybe you will use a rapid application development, okay, RAD. So if you want step-by-step process, so you go for waterfall. So if the user maybe don't want to see the system, the whole system yet, so maybe you develop just a prototype. Okay, under the prototype, normally we say a functioning and non-functioning prototype. Okay, maybe it's just a non-functioning. They want to see the interface, how the system will look like. You're not developing, you're not doing the coding yet, but you come up with the interface, the outputs of the system. Okay, the interface of the system without creating a system yet, coding, doing the programming yet. So that is the prototype. Okay, there are several software development model with different approach. Okay, so basically when we talk about the software development, this is just a generic. Okay, we have a feasibility study. Do we have each? Okay, we have each phase explained. So feasibility study or the survey, the requirement analysis, and then when you have the requirement, we analyze it, system analysis, and then design, implement. When we already implement, we must evaluate. Okay, we must evaluate. And then when we have a problem during the evaluation process, we must make a modification or make a correction. So this is known as, okay, we must make sure that, okay, the system work or function, okay, as what the user want. So we have the maintenance. And the last one, actually for all phases, okay, all the process must be documented. So we have a documentation. Okay, so this is the life cycle, okay, software development life cycle. So basically we look at the first one, feasibility study. So feasible, we must make sure that the project is feasible. Okay, feasible, okay, can be execute or not. Okay, can be execute or not. So a process that briefly examine user needs, conduct with a short period of time. Okay, very important as a measures whether to proceed or the project or not. Okay, so you must look, okay, the project you want to develop, is it feasible or not? Can be accomplished or not? Can be completed or not? Maybe the user requires something that you cannot do. Technically, you don't have a knowledge up to that level. Okay, so you don't have that, okay, the knowledge, for example, the skills up to that level. So you can say to the user, okay, this is not feasible, okay, because we don't have that enough knowledge or enough skills, technical skill to go to that okay, to at that level. Okay, or maybe the size is too big. Okay, the size is too big. Okay, I have previously my student doing practicum. Okay, the practicum at Malaysian Airport Berhad at that time. Okay, developing a system for Malaysian Airport Berhad. Malaysian Airport Berhad, and that is a performance appraisal system. Okay, my student, practicum student doing practicum in Malaysian Airport Berhad. Okay, Malaysian Airport Berhad at that time, based on Subang Airport. Okay, and the system that my student developed is a performance appraisal system. Sistem penilaian prestasi for Malaysian Airport Berhad staff. Okay, for Malaysian Airport Berhad staff. And at that time, okay, the owner of the system, CEO of the Malaysian Airport Berhad, want that system to be implemented for all airport under Malaysian Airport Berhad in Malaysia, all the airport. So I said to that student, your system is not feasible. It's not feasible, not during that 6-month period of time they are doing practicum. Okay, so I said for that student, okay, it's not possible. Okay, so it's not feasible to do for the whole Malaysia. Okay, within that short period of time, 6-month practicum. Okay, so what I advise that student, so maybe you have to resize the project. Okay, resize the project. Okay, so that project can be feasible. Okay, resize that project, reduce the scope of the project, so that you only at that time Malaysian Airport Berhad hired Microsoft to become a consultant. Microsoft said that, okay, this project can be done as a prototype only. For the whole Malaysia, prototype. And then when the CEO of the Malaysian Airport Berhad said he want to implement it for the all airport in Malaysia, then the Microsoft withdraw from becoming a consultant for that project. Okay, so we reduce the size. Okay, we reduce the size only for Subang Airport only. Okay, so it is feasible at that point. Okay, you reduce the scope, then the project will be feasible. Can be completed. Okay, can be completed. Okay, or maybe the project doesn't have. Let's say you want to develop a system that required 1 million ringgit for the project, but the company that want to develop the system only have 10,000 or 100,000 ringgit. So financially, that project is not feasible. Okay, so you can say in the term of financial, so that project is not feasible. Yes, you can develop the system, but the cost to develop the system is 1 million. But the company can only pay you only, let's say, 100,000. So it's not feasible. Or maybe the time frame. Okay, the time frame. Okay, yes, you said, okay, you can develop the system, the projects, okay, but it take 1 year to complete. But the company maybe required only, okay, that system within maybe, let's say, 6 months. So it's also not feasible. So before you start the project, see the feasibilities. Do the feasibility study. Make sure that the project is can be completed. Okay, can be completed. Okay, can be completed. Then when the project is you already do the feasibility study and come up with the the output is the project is feasible, then proceed to the next step. Okay, requirement analysis to find out what are the user requirement of the software. What are the user or the company that want the system, the software required from the system. Okay, so you done through interview, you go and see, discuss, communicate with the user. Done through interview and discussion session among the user. And then normally when I advise my student when they are doing the practicum training, okay, make sure that you come up with the list of what the user required. Okay, so from the interview or discussion session, make sure that you come up with the list and make sure that the list that you come up is agreed between you as a system developer and the user. Okay, and now you have if you are doing before you go practicum, there's another subject that you take. Okay, you already learn in that subject. You will learn in that subject to come up with the list of mandatory and functional and non-functional requirement. Okay, you will come up with the list of functional requirement and non-functional requirement. Okay, from the analysis, the output maybe you will come up with the functional. You will learn this in your another subject, functional and non-functional requirement. So you come up with the list. And then for each functional, especially the functional requirement and the non-functional, you have in the list you will state either this requirement is mandatory, optional, or desirable. Okay, this I have example here. Maybe I can share. Let me try to find the requirement list under my practicum. Let's say practicum. Penyeliaan supervision. This one is not. Logbook organization compression proposal. Or maybe report, draft practicum report. Okay, this is the analysis phase. Do they have the requirement model, requirement list? Let me see. Okay, this one. Okay, so this one. Okay, so you come up with the requirement list. Okay, this one is a functional requirement. This one is a functional requirement. So what are required? Okay, what are required by the user from the system? What are required by the user? You come up with the list. Okay, this one is functional, and then you have the priority. The highest priority is mandatory. Okay, mandatory, and then we have the optional and desirable. Which one is? Okay, this one is all mandatory. Yeah, this one is O is optional and D is desirable. Okay, so you come up with the, for this one, all are mandatory. Functional, all are mandatory. Okay, so this is the requirement description. Registered member. So admin registered user, the new account using username, temporary password, fill the username. Okay, so this is the list of the requirement. So when you come up with the requirement, make sure that this requirement is agreed between you, system developer, and the user. Okay, because we don't want at the end when you present, for example, your project, the user say, oh, I don't want this one. I don't want this one. Okay, what I want is not in your system. The system you develop does not show what I want. So at the end, maybe you have to go back to because it's life cycle, you have to go back to the first stage back, the first phase back. So to be safe, make sure that you come up with the requirement list, and this list is agreed between you, system developer, and the user or the owner of the system. Okay, so important as system design will rely on the requirements stated. So when you develop the system, you base your system that you develop on the requirement list. Okay, you base your system that you develop based on the requirement that already listed in the functional requirement and non-functional requirement. Okay, so you don't build something that is not in the list, and the user also cannot request something that's not agreed, okay, inside the list. Okay, so misunderstood of requirement will lead to major failure of software development. So you must make sure that, as I said, it's agreed between both parties. So you understand what user want, user understand what you will develop. Okay, you develop what, okay, you understand what the user want based on the list, you come up with the list. So user will check, okay, so you understand what user want, and user also understand what, okay, that you will be developed, okay, based on the list. And then when the system is already, when all the requirement is already listed, okay, so you analyze, okay, you analyze, requirement gathered are being analyzed, okay, analysis will lead to the next phase, design the software. So you analyze the requirement, and then later you go to the next step, okay, system design. Okay, let me show again the analysis phase, just the graphical of the process. Okay, this one is not using SDLC, basically planning, feedback, design. Tengok dia pakai metodologi apa? Not mentioned. Okay, so this is phase that this student use. Mana dia punya ni? Okay, so this is the UML diagram, activity diagram. So this is the analysis phase, and it come up with the design. Okay, to meet the requirement. This is based on the requirement. Okay, so this is based on all based on the requirement. We have the actor. Okay, the actor. We have a system admin. Actually, it's a system user. I'm not sure. Apa lagi ada? Admin system adalah ni. Dia punya actor name tu tak apa correct, tak betul. Okay, so next system design, the exact configuration of hardware, processing, storage, I/O, network component, and software operating system. Okay, and network operating system component is specified. Select application program development tools. Okay, programming language that you want to use, and the database that you want to use. Basically, when you develop a system, if that system involves a database, then you must choose the suitable database. Yes, suitable database. And programming language, normally based on one, maybe what you know. Okay, one, you develop based on what you know, the language that you know. Now, I think in UM, you are familiar with the Java programming language, object-oriented. Okay, or maybe based on what, if you are doing practicum or you are working with others company, so you must follow or use the programming language that used by that company. Okay, so programming language, one, maybe you develop based on what you know, or the second one is based on what been used in that company. If you are doing the practicum in that company or you are working with that company, so you must use the programming language that the company use. Okay, and then you design. So you already, the system or the application or the program that you develop is already ready to be used. Okay, so next step is to implement the software or the system or the application. Okay, implement the plan formulated during design phase. Hardware and software are installed, configured, and tested. So entire system are checked for functionality and meet the user need. Okay, as defined in the analysis phase. So maybe you can later check. You have the least requirement, functional requirement. Okay, so you can check. Okay, all the mandatory must be working. Okay, all the mandatory requirement must be working or must be functioning. Okay, and then there's no other error. Okay, there's no other error. Okay, the next one, system evaluation. Evaluation is necessary to measure the success of the development. Evaluation will subsequently lead to the better improvement. Improvement will be done in the maintenance phase. Okay, so when the system is already running, then you evaluate the system. Okay, you evaluate the system. Okay, so you already check for the system that you already make sure that the system meet the requirement, but now maybe you have more things that you can do to the system to make the system better. Okay, to make the system better, so you can improve the system. Okay, you can improve the system. The system is already meet the requirement, but it can be better if then you have the list. Okay, it can be better if then you have the list. So you will make improvement. Okay, improvement based on the suggested, for example, by the user. Okay, by the user. Okay, so you can make improvement for in the next phase. Okay, system maintenance. Okay, obtain the input from the evaluation phase. So weaknesses or mistake will be corrected here, and then you will produce the better system which meet the user needs. Actually, the system that or the software that you supposed to you develop supposed to meet the requirement at the earlier stage. Okay, at the earlier stage. But maybe during the usage of the system or the software, okay, the user identify more requirement. Okay, so if the new requirement is agreed between two parties, the system developers and the user, then you can make a new improvement. Okay, you can make the improvement on the new requirement. Okay, and then it's very important to document all the phases. Okay, very important. Without if difficult to trace back flow of the system being developed, act as a reference. Okay, system reusable and training needs reference. So documentation and also sometimes I said a training. Okay, you come up with the documentation of the development process, all the diagram, all the requirement, all the functional, non-functional, all the diagram that you come up during these analysis and designs. Okay, so you document it, and when the system is already implemented, okay, ready to be used, you also must come up with the user manual. Okay, user manual. Okay, because you are not the user of the system. Okay, you are not the user of the system. So you must have a user manual for the user to use the system. And later, maybe if it's a contract based, so you finish completing the system, so you'll not be there to help the user when they have a problem. So the user manual can help the user in terms of if they have a problem with the system. Okay, system reusable and training need reference. Cost analysis can be done effective based on the documentation. So you can come up with the cost of the project based on the documentation. Okay, so finish chapter 2. Okay, habis chapter 2. Okay, so next class we will continue chapter 3.